Today I'm here with Tumi Johnson. She's a medical doctor who specializes on helping people with a raw vegan diet, releasing weight, and do you want to give a quick introduction?
Thank you, Julia, for having me, first of all. I support people, I'd like to say, in basically living their healthiest, most conscious, most delicious lives. And because I'm an internal medicine doctor, that looks like a lot of different things in terms of what the person wants to heal. My process that I use is drawing on my experience of being raw vegan for 13 years, as well as studying nutrition. But I love to meet people where they are, so I don't prescribe raw vegan to everyone. I'm also a professional dancer, and so I also offer my dance performance as medicine to support and ignite their healing process. And I love my work, yeah.
Amazing, cool. So today we're going to talk about releasing weight and the connection between emotional health and people who maybe struggle and find themselves struggling releasing weight because of their emotional health. So I would like to ask you, have you ever been at a point where you felt like your emotional health was affecting you being able to nourish your body the most optimal way and experiencing that level of health on the outside? And how have you come to where you're now?
That is a beautiful question. And I think the emotional component of releasing weight, I love to call it, doesn't get talked about enough. I used to be 40 pounds overweight from my body, and this is when I was still dancing a lot and working out a lot, exercising, and that is because of emotional eating. I had a binge eating disorder, and food, I'm saying this because I believe that these are actually substances that are parading as food. So the processed things people eat, animal products, I don't consider that to be real food. But I was eating these things as a way to numb my emotions. And many people do this. And so I used to be pescatarian. And even when I thought I was being a healthy pescatarian, I was eating a lot of foods, edible substances that are known to produce morphine-like substances that help just sedate you. So bread is one of them, and that was a big drug that I used. Milk, so casomorphins in milk or yogurt or cheese, another one that I used heavily. And I will share with you that even when I went raw vegan, and that was incredible for my health experience, I dropped weight so easily because I was coming home to the food we're meant to eat. But even then, Julia, I realize now that I was still using food, now true food, as a way to deal with emotions, but now I was using nuts and seeds and avocados. And so I say all this to say that addressing our emotions is so key to not just healthy weight management and healthy weight release, but feeling free in your body, which I think ultimately it's all about. So we can dive into more about what that looks like, but I just want to affirm that for me, the looking at the emotions finally is really what did it for me in terms of letting the waste, I call it, go that didn't serve me, and feeling free in my body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah, that was beautifully said, and I made a very similar experience that even when I went raw, that didn't solve all the problems. It's more like, trying to treat the symptom from the outside by thinking, okay, if I change my diet, then everything around me will change as well. And yes, it did have a huge impact, but I still think, changing and transforming the inside is infinitely more powerful. So what would you say is that shift that you made that allowed you to say, okay, even now I'm raw vegan, I no longer have the need to escape myself, escape my reality through the food, whether that would be healthy or not, what switch would you say have you made?
So I feel like, first of all, just being aware and honest with yourself that, I am still using food to cope. Even if it is, healthy food or raw food, And I realized that I could see that, I would feel a certain way, and then I would use the nuts and the seeds and the raw gourmet, and I just didn't feel as good. I think also when you start this journey, your body gets cleaner and healthier. And I would realize every time I eat a lot of cashews, I don't feel good, but I'm still doing it. So why am I still doing it? And that's when I was like, I'm still using food, just healthier food, arguably, to cope with my emotions. But it's not healthy if you're eating half a bag of cashews and go, or 3 avocados, or whatever, 6 avocados, whatever it is for you that you know is too much. And so first was the awareness, and then it was self-kindness. I think this is so key, is that instead of going into, how could I do this to myself? What's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah. Understand that these coping mechanisms are way old, and they're there as a way to help you feel safe. We have a limbic system as Homo sapiens, which means it's a way of memory, and it's also like almost a reptilian brain, a way of keeping our bodies safe. And so we look for things to keep us feeling safe. And these foods that again are morphine-like, nuts and seeds, are very heavy, and the fat is sedating on our nervous system. In a way, it makes sense that we would go to these things. But what is being asked of us deeply is comfort. Or it is asking for you something that you need to listen to. Maybe it's, every time you feel sorrow or anger, you want to go and numb out on whatever, the bread, the whatever. What is the emotion? What are the thoughts? What are the feelings? What are the memories that come up for you that make you go to those things that you know don't serve you? And looking at that with a lot of kindness and curiosity, and then saying, well, how can I then listen to that emotion? So I call it shadow dancing, the idea of really looking at our shadows, looking at these difficult emotions that we have over-identified with. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean you're an angry person, or doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just because you feel like you have a craving coming up doesn't mean you have to cave into that craving. So I guess what I'm saying is putting a little bit of distance between you and the emotion that comes up, or the memory or the thought, and looking at it with curiosity. And here's what I love is I started asking that thought, emotion, what are you here to teach me? What do I need to heal? And you can take that question as just journal on that. Just your wisdom will come through. Or take it to meditation and listen to the inner wisdom or the divine wisdom come through for the answer. And what I found out, Julia, is that I was almost always wanting to numb in the evening. Almost always. Now, I've heard before, a lot of times that's because you didn't eat enough during the day, blah, blah, blah. But for me, it wasn't that.
Same, yeah.
For me, what it was, and I had to do the same thing, I did journaling, I meditated, I prayed on it. And what I realized that for me, I was craving what I call sukha is the term in yogic tradition. Sukha is sweetness. It's the idea of like being enveloped by comfort, something soothing you. Because a lot of us are highly sensitive people. And we're out in the world and there's all this stimulation. You go through all this, and at the end of the day, you're just like this raw nerves. It's like almost on top of your skin, and you just want to be comforted. And apples don't seem to do it. But the trick is that the cashews, the bread, the whatever it is not true comfort. It's false comfort that for a moment will take the edge off, and then you feel horrible, or I did, the next morning. So for me, I had to say to myself, I need comfort, and I deserve comfort, and I'm worthy of comfort. I'm worthy of soothing myself, and I'm not weak for needing comfort at the end of this day. And so then I was like, okay, then what's true comfort for me? True comfort for me, I can share with you, looks like giving myself sweet solitude. I adore my beloved, my husband, and my sweet child, but they know, and they actually, so they're like, Mama, go take your time. I take some time for myself,
Beautiful.
just to, at the end of the day, just to be with me. I go and just stare at the clouds. Every evening I go and I watch the shapes of clouds because nature soothes me. So I have this whole ritual around self-soothing every evening. That's a very specific thing that I do for me. But I share this with you just to say that you have to find out for yourself what it is, the food that you're using to numb, to soothe yourself, what it's really a substitute for, and then give yourself the real version of it. That has been a game changer for me.
Wow, that was so beautiful, and you shared so many helpful tools
Oh,
here. So
good.
the journaling, the meditation, and yeah, just reconnecting with your inner body by, you know, stepping back into what is and into your body by spending some me time. So I love all these tools, and I've made a very similar experience that when my nervous system is just very overwhelmed from too much stimulation from outside, that in the past used to be the default mode, okay, food. So something that has also been really helpful for me was to just no longer put myself so much into these situations for too long, where my nervous system gets to that point.
Yes.
And if I ever am forced to be in that situation, to really take that time afterwards to ground and reconnect, whether that would be taking a bath or going into the river or in the lake or whatever, you know, and really reconnecting. So yeah, I think it's really important to know what your body needs. And the nervous system also reminds me of something. Before we hit record, we were talking about financial health.
Yes.
And how that also has really both of us impacted us, like in terms of our weight and in terms of our health, when financial freedom and abundance started coming in. Would you like to share a little bit why you think there is such a huge link between feeling also comforted and safe in that financial realm and then your health and your weight?
Great question. I'm really glad you brought that up, Julia. I think, well, I know finances is root chakra. That's all about security. That's all about I am safe in this world or I'm not. And if you don't feel safe in the world, that is the most disconcerting feeling. That is trauma. And so how are you going to deal with trauma? Well, the way that you know how to cope. Again, so you go back to those things that will numb you, that will sedate you, so you're not feeling so scared. So to feel safe is really important. And that is why finances are really important. They're part of our reality, of this matrix. And we are beautiful spiritual beings having a human experience. And in this construct, or this permutation of that construct, money is part of it. And rather than vilifying money or painting money as evil, as Julie and I were talking, for me, understand that money is just a tool. It's a hammer. So what do you want to build with that hammer? What do you want to destroy with that hammer? And that hammer is only important, or it becomes whatever it's going to be depending on who's holding it. And so how beautiful could it be if we in the world who want to do good, who are conscious beings, who want to create more love and nurture more love and connection, are the ones holding that hammer. And money is that hammer. And so to feel that sense of safety, money's part of it. And that's just true, and there's nothing to have to run away from that. It's just to face it and actually to embrace it. Understanding that good people do really good things with money. And so my experience also beyond that is financial abundance. And the energy signature of abundance is shown in the trees that you see around us, in fruit trees. Like fruit trees are the epitome of abundance, right? And so that's the energy signature of financial abundance too. And as I'll share about, doing a workshop very soon, but having a lot of money is not the same thing for me as financial freedom and true financial abundance. Financial abundance is having the wealth you desire to do good for yourself, your loved ones, and the world, and to have the abundance mentality, not the lack mentality. I know a lot of people who have a lot of money but aren't abundant.
Yeah, I can really relate to what you're saying, and that was beautifully said. I think when it comes to attracting abundance and money, we often have a lot of limiting beliefs that we have been passed down by from our ancestors. So What was a limiting belief that you feel like had a really big pull in your life that you transformed and shifted?
Great question. There were a few. One that I think was one of the most powerful ones is money corrupts. That rich people are not good. They're corrupted. They're going to do bad things. Which is interesting because there was quite a few wealthy people in my larger family, but in my immediate family was just the idea that, you know, we are artists or we're intellectuals and we do our good work and we help people, but that money stuff is like, doesn't grow on trees and is for people who are, it's corrupting. And I really struggled with that one. And so of course, if I believe that, right, I take that on, I'm always going to subconsciously hijack myself from having enough money because I don't want to be corrupted. I want to be pure and free. And what I think can be super helpful for dismantling that false belief, because it's false, is start giving yourself examples of how that's not true. And I started meeting people who are not corrupted by money and who are doing beautiful things with that tool. And I was like, so it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, amazing. And what's your belief around it now? How
About money?
Yeah, is it more empowering in terms of that limiting one that you just shared?
Oh yeah. Now as I said, good people do amazing things with money. It's a tool, and more than ever in this world, we need people who are in empowered places, and money can be a powerful tool to help with healing that the world is in desperate need of, to help with spreading love. So I feel liberated. I feel liberated from those beliefs and grateful that I have money as a tool to do better in the world.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And if people want to watch that workshop, either the replay or the live one, where can they find you?
Thanks for asking. So the workshop is going to be taking place, I'm not sure when you're posting this, but it'll be taking place in a Zoom live on November 16th. But there is going to be a replay, and both the workshop and the replay are accessed through Your Delicious Life. Your Delicious Life is my online community and space where I share, I call it a treasure cove of just guidance from me around things like chakra, holistic health, and life guidance for me. And it's now been going on for 6 years. So there's 6 years worth of incredible videos and healing dances and Q&As on health subjects and life subjects. And when you join, you're going to get from me like a little questionnaire to know what you need. And then based on that, I tell you where to go to get the things that you need.
Nice. I'll put a link for that in the description box.
You.
So if any one of you is interested, they can find it. Because I think this financial topic that you're bringing into the space right now is such an important one that is so vastly underrated in the whole health, raw food space.
Yes.
Because I think that's something big that holds people back from even stepping into a lifestyle where you start eating the most nourishing and delicious fruits, because it is a bit more pricey than, you know, if you were just eating rice and beans, of course. So I think it's also important that we all start really empowering these new beliefs around money and know in our heart that there is enough to go around.
There's more than enough.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it, Julia.
And I have one last question I ask all my interview guests, and that is if you could travel back in time to the younger self, the younger version of yourself, the Tumi that just got started with raw foods, living foods, and healthier foods, and you could give her 3 advice, what would you tell her?
I tried to take my own life when I was in medical school because I was so depressed and had severe depression. And so I know exactly what I would tell her, because what happened to me was that I was in the hospital bed after that experience and with medications going in my veins to save my organs. And I had this vision of me now. I now know it's me now. I had a vision, I was like 22 at the time, 23, and an older woman was sitting in the foot of my bed with this wild hair, and you know, she was, and the younger version of me was crying, and like she said, this life feels so hard. And the woman said to her, wear color, it will set your soul afire. And by wear color, I don't mean physically wear color, although I love color sometimes, but more about wear color means like follow your passions, do what lights you up, do what gives you the sense that, oh, everything is colorful. And then she also said, stay in Bhujangasana longer than you care to be. And that's a yoga pose. And sometimes you need to be in situations, shadow work, longer than you think you would be comfortable in to get to the other side. So I would tell my younger self, wear color, stay in Bhujangasana longer than you care to be, and you are love. You are love itself.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tumi, for sharing and for taking your time to sit down for this talk. I really enjoyed it, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Julia.
All your links are in the description box. So yeah, bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Julia.